Hey guys, John here with Osage County Guns. Today I've got another firearm from Sig Sauer to show you, and that's the new Sig P225 Classic. I've got the box to show you the part number, which is 225A-9-BSS-CL. This is chambered in 9mm, and BSS indicates that it has night sights. It's coated in Nitron. There is another variation without night sights, which is 225A-9-B-CL. That'll just have 3-dot contrast sights, and it'll be at a slightly lower price point. Okay, first off, I'm going to show you the pistol's clear. Got the slide lock back. We'll go ahead and take the mag out now. I'll come back to the mag in a moment because we've had a lot of inquiries and seen a lot of chatter online about the magazine. First, I'm going to just show off the features of the pistol and talk to you a little about the specifications. I had some requests to give some measurements, so I'll do that as well. We'll show you the weight on our scale, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the magazines, potential accessories, things like that. First off, you're going to notice it does have the checkered G10 grips, and these are two-piece G10 grips. Sig logo emblem on both sides. The pistol does have front strap checkering. One thing that you'll notice if you owned or are familiar with the 225s is they did change the shape of the trigger guard. It was more squared on the original 225s. Unfortunately, I don't have an original one at close access to where I could have it available today to show in this video. So unfortunately, I'll just have to refer you to photos online, which you can find on Google pretty easily. But it's got a decocker, slide, stop, and release lever. Pretty standard. You're going to see that's a lot like the one on the 239, and I will bring that out in a moment as well. It has Sig Light night sights. Overall specs, the overall length is 6.9 inches. The overall height is 5.2. Overall width is 1.26 inches. The barrel is 3.6 inches with a sight radius of 5.2 inches. And then trigger pull, it does have a short reset trigger. It's not the short reach trigger, which you'll see. It's a standard thickness Sig trigger, but it is a short reset trigger. And the trigger's expected to break at 10 pounds on double action and 4.4 on single action. Comparing the spec-wise to the 239, which I'll bring out in a minute, it's very comparable. This does share some similarities with the 239, notably the controls. The other thing, which I just already kind of hinted at, was the magazine. And we've had some inquiries about whether or not a P239 magazine is going to work in the 225. We did already do some real quick checks on the compatibility, and design-wise, the mags are using what appears to be the same mag body with a different floor plate. You'll see the 239 magazine in my right hand to your left, and the original, the new 225 magazine in my left hand. The mag bodies are pretty much the same as far as I can tell, as are the followers. It's important to note that the original P225 magazines will not work in this pistol. I'll turn them around here where hopefully you can see the floor plates and you can see the shape. Now, if I were to take the 239 magazine, what you're going to see, let me just lock the slide back. What you're going to see is that the floor plate is going to stop when it makes contact with the grips. Oh, take that back. It doesn't. It actually does seat, but it doesn't lock back. The reason for that is the shape of the floor plate, which I believe allows the modified floor plate to seat the magazine just ever so slightly deeper. And I don't know if I can hold these two side by side enough to let you see that. But what's ended up happening is the floor plate meets the edge of the frame, and you'll notice the difference with the modified floor plate versus the 239 floor plate. So the new mag is able to sit more deeply. I thought the edges of the mag were going to actually make contact with the grips, but that happens with the higher capacity 10 round 239 magazine, and I'm going to just lay these two to the side and then show you the most common 239 10-round magazine. You'll notice it's got the plastic floor plate, which gives you 2 extra rounds compared to the standard magazines. And this one, I believe, is going to make contact with the grips. So here we are. You can see that because of the shape of the extended capacity floor plate and grip extension, it's not able to seat. I don't know if if I were to take the grips off, it may. For the purpose of this video, I didn't have time to check that, but I don't believe it will, unless the floor plate is extensively modified, and even in that case, I don't think it's going to work. And I also had access to one of the much more rare aluminum base plate 239 10-round magazines, and what you're going to see here is the same thing. The floor plate is catching and it doesn't seat. So that had been an inquiry I saw, I believe, on Sig forum, and the users had asked, and so that's the issue. I do have some photos I'll post on our website and blog of some of these magazines side by side to give you a little bit better comparison, but I don't know if we'll be able to really show you these well. I can't really hold them all if I can get them to stand up, but these are the 3 iterations of the 239 magazine, and then the new 225A magazine. When ordering a spare magazines for the 225, you're going to use a new part number mag-225A-9-8, and that is for the new 225A. We'll move on. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the barrels. And I found out something interesting today that I didn't know, and I don't know if it's been published anywhere. We did see on Sig's Instagram page that there was a photo of the 225 with a threaded barrel and Sig's SRD9 suppressor sitting next to it. Sig is planning on releasing a threaded barrel version of the 225. And we would have assumed that that's what we saw on Instagram. But a quick phone call today with somebody at Sig informed me that the 225A can accept a 239 barrel. As a result, the 225 can just interchange. If you already own a 239, you can use a threaded barrel. You can buy a 239 threaded barrel, part number BBL-239-9-T, and it'll drop right in to the new 225. And we did already get some photos to show you the threaded barrel mounted, so we'll have some high-res photos of that. But here you'll see it's a direct fit, drop in, no issues, no fitting required. When we sell Sig's threaded barrels separately, we typically include a bit of a disclaimer because we've seen so many issues with compatibility. So I wasn't sure that this barrel would just drop in with no issues. However, it does on this particular 225. And here you can see it with this Advanced Armament Eco 9 that we'll be showing you guys actually here in a few minutes on our range. I'll go ahead and switch the barrel back just for the purpose of weight, so I can weigh this on my scale and show you. I guess I could also show you the 2 barrels side by side. I do have photos of these 2 barrels side by side, and spec wise, as far as I can tell, just looking at it, eyeing them, they're identical. So it looks as if the 239 barrel is the 225A barrel. You can see these here as well. Get my hands out of the way, you might be able to see them from the sides. And then the feed ramps. So we'll go ahead and bring in the scale. I'll show you the weights, and then I've got a set of digital calipers to grab some measurements, since we did have some requests from some of the guys on Sig forum if I would show some measurements. So I'll go ahead and just get some measurements quickly and show you that. I'm going to go ahead and use the mag because I believe Sig did specify weight with magazine. And we'll switch it over to ounces. We come in at 28.8, and obviously the mag's unloaded. Sig's spec was 30.5 ounces. That may be with a loaded magazine, but I would have imagined that they would be giving us weights with an empty mag, because depending on the grain weights of the bullets, the weight may change ever so slightly. But my scale seems to be accurate, and so we're at 28.8 ounces. And then I'm going to go ahead and quickly get these dimensions with my digital calipers. We're going to clear that. And I'm going to do measurements on the frame, trigger guard, the grips, the width and depth of the grips, or at least the frame with the grips mounted, and then we'll also include the slide. So if we start at the frame, at the dust cover, we are at 23.03 millimeters. I'm going to switch that over to inches, and we are at 29/32 of an inch. I'll just grab the trigger guard next, and the trigger guard is 13/32. The width of the grips is 1 25/128, and then depth at the bottom of the grip, the best that I can, we are at 2 1/128. And near the top, at the top of the checkering, trying to go slightly angled back to the grip, 1 109/128 of an inch. So sorry that's not rounded down a little bit more, but at least it gives you an idea. 1 point, roughly 8 inches here. And then on the slide itself, at the lower portion of the slide, we are at 1.08 inches, and that's 1 1/128 of an inch. At the controls, if I measure from the decocker across to the grip plate, 1 1/4 inches. And at the slide where it's beveled inward, we are at 115/128 of an inch. Going to round that, that is roughly about 9/10 of an inch. So that gives you an idea of a few of the dimensions, and hopefully for the guys on Sig forum that were asking, that it covers the dimensions you were looking for. If it doesn't, post a comment on the video and I will grab the additional measurements that you're seeking. I went ahead and grabbed a 239, part number 239-9-BSS, just to give you a comparison between the two, since they're very similar, especially since they're utilizing the same barrel and mag bodies. First off, my 239 is clear, and I'm going to just try to show you and point out some of the features, similarities, noticeable differences, and then I do have the specs. They're very similar. First thing you're going to notice is that the 239 has a rounded trigger guard, where we've got the more angled or squared trigger guard on the 225. The original 225 is even more squared, really almost at a 90-degree angle, but they've made modifications and updates to this particular one. Front strap checkering, it's checkered and lined on the 239. Looking at specs, the overall length of the 239 is 6.6 inches, but 6.9 on the 225. Height, 1/10 of an inch difference. Different. The 239 is 5.1, the 225 is 5.2 inches. Width is 1.26 and 1.2. Barrel length is the same, 3.6. I showed you the barrels, they're the same barrel. And weight, Sig is identifying the 239 at 29.5 ounces. I'll go ahead and pull the scale back in just to verify, since I gave you the weight as my scale measured with the 225. And for the purpose of this comparison, I am going to include the magazine so that we are measuring it equally. We come in at 27.9 ounces on the 239, and if my memory serves me, we were at 28.8 based on my measurement on this scale with the 225. So Sig measured them, or according to Sig specs, they're 1 ounce apart, and on my scale they're 1 ounce apart. 27.8 versus 28.8. If you look at the controls, you'll notice that the controls are similar, if not the same. I didn't verify parts to see if, internally they're exact same part, but your decocker and your slide release, slide stop levers look the same. Of course, the 239 BSS model has Sig-Lite night sights. It is using 2-piece grips. The band is covering it slightly, but you'll see the 2-piece grips. Otherwise, we've got the standard hammer on the 225, and then the reduced, somewhat bobbed hammer on the 239. Next up, I've got the 220/45 BSS. This is basically the standard P220 sitting next to the 225, just locked back to show clear. And obviously the 220 is larger. The 220 comes in at 7.7 inches, again 6.9 on the 225. Overall height on the 220 is 5.5 versus the 5.2. Overall width is 1.5 versus 1.26. Sight radius is 6.3 versus 5.2. And Sig's spec identifies the 220 as weighing 30.4 ounces. And since I've been giving you the scale on everything else, I'll quickly give you the scale on the 220. And we come in at 30.9. So we're actually heavier than Sig's website identified the weight of this pistol. Putting them at roughly 2.1 ounces, the 220 weighing 2.1 ounces more. Feature-wise, they're not comparable. We're talking 45 ACP to 9. I'm really just trying to show you the size. One thing I didn't identify is that the 239 and 225 have a non-rail frame, just standard dust cover, and a lot of your classic Sigs are going to have a rail. Just really I'm looking to show you the difference in the overall size and profile because that's a factor in purchasing decisions. So I'm going to try to just hold these without making contact so you can see the difference in the overall length of the slide and barrel. And then I can actually just set these two side by side upside down so you can see the difference in the height. Both are using comparable sights, night sights, Sig-Lite night sights, and if I were to set them slides facing down, you can see the difference in the height. Overall width is pretty darn close. Maybe not enough for you to really tell, it's just a 1/4 of an inch difference. I've now put the 225 next to a 226. 226 chambered in 9mm, so more similar than the 220, but again, I'm just trying to show you a couple different Sig pistols to give you an idea of the differences between the 225 and existing models. Again, 226 is clear, and like the 220, 226 does have the accessory rail, a more squared trigger guard. The 226 that I have is the night-sided version, so again, same sights. Spec-wise, the 226 is close to the 220. We're looking at 7.7 overall length, 5.5 inches on the height, 1.5 on the width, and barrel length of 4.4 inches. Sight radius, I believe, is again 6.3 inches on the 226, like the 220. And Sig's website calls out a weight of 34 ounces. Again, we were at 28.8, so we'll go ahead and just throw it on the scale to verify. And we're at 31.3. So empty weights, we're at roughly 2.5 ounces, roughly 2.5 ounces difference, 226 weighing more. And the overall dimensions are very comparable to the 220, but I'll go ahead and put them side by side again, because you may, be making the decision on which one to buy, a 226 or a 225. Again, 1/4 inch difference on the width, 9/10 of an inch on the height. And if I show you from the side, and then I can set them and show you from the back. And the barrel, as a clarification, the barrel is 9/10 of an inch, 8/10 of an inch difference. So 3.6 versus 4.4. When we're talking overall length, we're at 7.7 and 6.9. So we're really at about 8/10 of an inch longer in terms of the length of the 226 versus the 225. The other thing I didn't mention was magazine capacity. 8 rounds on the 220, which I had a minute ago, 8 rounds on the 225. The 226 flush fit is 15 since it's a double stack, and there is the extended length magazine to 20 rounds for Sig. There's also a Mech-Gar flush fit, if my memory serves me, 18 round mag available for the 226. Last up, I've got a Sig P225 chambered in 9mm. First, we're clear. I'm attempting to keep the overall length of this video down somewhat, so I didn't bring out a 224, I didn't bring out a 229 carry. Those are both pretty recent releases, but I'm trying to show you some of the classic P-line models, classic P-series models, to give you the idea of where the 225 lands in the classics. Spec-wise, 229, 7.1 inches. We're at 6.9 on the 225, so 2/10 difference. On overall height, just put these around and show you from the rear. Height is 5.4 and 5.2, so just 2/10 of an inch between the two. Overall width is 1.5 and 1.26. On the barrel length, 229 is at 3.9 versus 3.6 on the 225. And sight radius is 5.7 on the 229 and 5.2 on the 225. These two pistols are relatively close in dimensions. If I show you the height, it's a minimal difference. Only talking 2/10 of an inch in the overall height. Thickness, 1/4 of an inch. You get 15 round magazine capacity on the 229, and you get 8 on the 225. This is the newest iteration of the 229, US made with a 15 round 229-1 magazine. So same capacity as the 226-9. So if you're trying to make a decision, your overall width is less by 1/4 of an inch on the 225 versus the 229. The 229 is using the enhanced ergonomic grips from Sig. For the purpose of a very quick comparison, I'll grab these digital calipers just to get the width of the grips themselves, because that may be a factor for you. At the top, we're at 1.2 inches. and toward the bottom we're at 1.3, and front to back roughly 1.8, almost 1.9, and right about 2.0. That'll at least give you the idea if you are comparing it to the 225. We're going to go ahead and take the P225 out to the range. We're going to show you some video footage in a minute. We're going to put some rounds through it. We're going to switch to the threaded barrel and put some rounds through it suppressed. That way you guys can see it in action and hopefully give you some good footage of that. Thanks for checking out our video on the 225 today, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment below. Check us out on OsageCountyGuns.com or on Facebook. As of this video, we do have a handful of the new 225s in stock and for sale on our website. You can order them today. If you're watching this video later and it says out of stock, you can add your email address to our website for a notification when it comes back in stock. Since we demoed this pistol and took it out to the range and fired it, we are going to be selling it as used. So this single unit and the barrel, the 239 threaded barrel, will be packaged together, and we're going to have that for sale as well. We'll post a link to the pistol. If you want to buy it at the discounted price, it'll be in the description of this video. It'll link over to our website. Once either the link is removed from the description, or if you click the link and you go to our website and it says out of stock, that means somebody already grabbed it and it's been sold. We do have a couple pieces of swag for you. As I promised in our earlier videos, we're going to try to do giveaways with each of our videos. I've got 3 hats: a Sig logo hat, Sig trucker hat, and a Christus and Arms hat. I've also got an MPX triple retention mag pouch. It'll work with MPX or CZ Scorpion magazines. All you have to do to qualify is leave a comment below in the bottom of this video. You can say anything. Give us input, give us critiques, just say, give me some free stuff. That's all you need to do to qualify. In about a week, I'm going to go through each comment. We'll actually tabulate the comments. Only 1 comment per user account. So if you comment multiple times, you're going to get entered 1 time. But we'll do a drawing and we'll announce the winners on this video as a comment updated in about a week's time once we've selected those winners. So go ahead, jump on there, leave us a comment, leave us a message, and again, thanks for checking out our video today.